OnePlus is coming back at it again with the OnePlus 7, and there's a lot of details, a lot of leaks that are most likely going to be real given OnLeak's track record with the OnePlus phones before they drop. There's not a whole lot of secrets to be revealed, so here's what you should be expecting come May 14th when OnePlus officially drops the OnePlus 7. Let's begin. So it of course starts out very incrementally, as many OnePlus phones do, because despite so many people waiting 2, 3, 4 years now before they upgrade their phones, because once a year there's still not that many changes to upgrade from, OnePlus is still ignoring all that by releasing 2 flagship smartphones a year. And that doesn't mean 2 different sizes, 2 different variants at the same time. It means one phone comes out every 6 months, which can be good if you want your users and you want your fan base to have very up-to-date specs and very up-to-date designs, but what it does result in is a lot of your consumer base feeling like they're getting buyer's remorse a lot of the time, because they'll buy their phone and then 3 months later a newer version of that phone for the same price drops, and then they're like, oh shoot, I could have just waited a little bit longer and got the OnePlus 7, but hey, OnePlus 6T is probably still a really great phone for a lot of people out there, so here's what to expect. The OnePlus 7, just the regular one, because this year OnePlus is mixing things up a little bit and making different variants of the OnePlus 7, which they haven't done in a while, doing multiple different phones for a single release. But anyway, the regular OnePlus 7 is not going to be drastically different from the OnePlus 6T. Probably just trying to catch up with modern day Android smartphones. So if you didn't know, the OnePlus 6T actually still rocks that slower Snapdragon 845 chip, which isn't as fast as the Galaxy S10 with the Snapdragon 855. So you should definitely expect that in the new OnePlus 7. Updated CPU, just checking another box in 2019. It's going to have a dual camera setup on the back, which isn't much different, but the primary camera sensor is going to be a 48 megapixel shooter, which is quite a large sensor, and I imagine you're going to be able to get some pretty crispy pictures out of it. I'm sure during the event they're going to talk about how much better the camera is than before, and that Snapdragon 855 is likely going to allow the OnePlus 7 to record 4K at 60, perhaps as long as you want, just like the Galaxy S10 can. It's a 6.4-inch display, so in regards to the previous generation, comparing the OnePlus 7 to the OnePlus 6T, yeah, there's really not much going on there. As far as we've heard, there has not been any reports of wireless charging or an IP rating being added to this version, although I desperately hope for that, because as much as OnePlus likes to promote on their Twitter that their phones have no bells and whistles, which is funny because I feel like that's the kind of thing you would want to advertise, is that your phone has it all, your phone has tons of features, but advertising that you don't have bells and whistles feels like you're kind of admitting that your phone's not that interesting or doesn't have that many unique features. I'm not saying the OnePlus doesn't have unique features. It does have bells and whistles, absolutely. It's just funny that their marketing phrased it that way. But anyway, that's going to be a very basic upgrade, but that's not what most people are excited about. Most people are looking forward to the upgraded variant, which is kind of controversial to a lot of people who are a fan of the OnePlus branding, given it's all about being more affordable and being drastically cheaper than the other flagships coming out in today's market. The OnePlus 7 Pro, which is going to be a different design approach in multiple ways. For one, there's not going to be a teardrop notch in the middle, which already I think OnePlus 6T has been crowned as like the most least intrusive notch we have, you know, because it's not technically a camera hole, but it's just not very prominent. It's very slick. It's built into the phone very smoothly, and it's probably the easiest notch to forget that it's there when you're using the device. So OnePlus 7 is going to be topping that with no notch, but that does come at the compromise of a motorized pop-up front-facing camera. Now, OnePlus used to be very proud of their face unlock technology being super quick. It's not very secure, but it will let you get into the phone very quickly. I imagine this motorized camera process is likely going to slow down that process a little bit now, but they're probably going to tell everyone to go all in on that fingerprint reader under the display and just say, no, that's the better way, that's the faster way. Even if it's not as secure or maybe not as reliable as the Galaxy S10 ultrasonic fingerprint reader, they still think that method is going to be better than face unlock. There's also a bunch of issues I have with pop-up cameras that I've talked about in the past. You can't deny the physics of it. The more moving parts you put in a mobile device, the more things can go wrong. So as phones are stuffed in pockets or we try to put them in cases and things like that, having a motorized camera means that dust or lint can get in there easier. What happens happens when that motor fails, which inevitably it likely will, or something could break it easier. It also doesn't help the IP rating, so if you were hoping for water resistance or dust resistance, it's not likely that the pop-up camera is going to help with that. So if you care mostly about the display and how things look, then the OnePlus 7 Pro is likely going to have you covered. And the most exciting feature I'm looking forward to is that there are several leaks indicating that this is going to be a 90 Hz OLED display, which previously we've only seen on that Asus ROG phone, which basically no one bought. It was oriented towards gamers, but of course running Android, it's kind of hard to find a lot of games that support that. But as someone who's crazy about frame rates, and I love devices that go above the standard 60 Hz, I'm looking forward to holding and using a OnePlus 7 Pro because that's going to have that higher refresh rate, and someone like me really notices and cares about that. So it's definitely not as high as the Razer Phone 2, but the Razer Phone 2 out of the box has a 90 Hz display, and just when I set that up, I could already tell the difference between 60 and 90. 120 obviously being like peak refresh rate ever on a smartphone, but it's currently not possible with OLED displays, so it's understandable why OnePlus 7 Pro won't have 120 Hz, but still, an OLED display with 90 Hz, no notch. Also, there's several people saying it's going to be a curved display on the sides like the Galaxy S10, which I'm not a huge fan of because I always set it off on accident, but regardless, I think it goes without saying the OnePlus 7 Pro is going to have a very immersive, very high refresh rate, very good looking display, particularly because it's going to be over 1080p at least. I'm sure it'll be rocking a Snapdragon 855 as well, and OnLeaks has told us that it's going to be a triple camera on the back of the OnePlus 7 Pro with that same 48 megapixel primary camera, which is a very large sensor, alongside a telephoto and an ultra-wide lens. So ultra-wide's the standard you gotta have in 2019, but the reason some people may not be too excited about the OnePlus 7 Pro is it shows that they're kind of leaning away from their company's roots, which is to make really good premium phones, but not nearly at the price of what flagships are. And given OnePlus is making this Pro model that has really cool features, that likely means it's going to cost a little bit more. Likely nowhere near the price range of a full-fledged Galaxy S10 or an iPhone XS. I'm sure it'll still be a lot cheaper because that's OnePlus's shtick. That's kind of how they orient themselves in the market, by placing themselves in very, very competitive price points. So I imagine it costing between $700 and $800, which is still a bargain for what you're getting out of it. But regardless, it does show them kind of experimenting more with the premium smartphone market, which OnePlus is very ambitious and they make some good hardware, so I'm okay with that. I'd love to see them try to make some more premium phones, but at the same time, for the people who are hoping phones wouldn't get more expensive and stay under $600, OnePlus clearly is trying to expand a little bit beyond that. So that demographic of OnePlus users might be a little bit upset that they're diversifying and they're deciding, yeah, we can make more expensive phones too, but with the premium hardware we'll be getting out of it, I'm more than okay with this. In fact, I encourage it. Imagine what OnePlus could do with a budget of $1,000 on a premium smartphone. They could probably put some impressive specs in there. But at the end of the day, the main reason I haven't tested a OnePlus phone yet is a small one, but it's a big feature for me. I understand that none of you care about this. You guys have been very vocal that this isn't a big deal for you, but for me at least, I care a lot about wireless charging, inductive charging on my smartphones. I have Qi chargers everywhere. The main thing I like about it is it's one-handed charging. I don't have to grab a wire and my phone and plug them in. I'm able to just drop my phone on any charge mat and it starts charging with one hand, and when it's done charging, I can pick it up with one hand. I don't have to grab the wire with the other hand and unplug it. It's a small thing, but over time it builds up, and I've kind of built my smartphone into my daily routine as something that needs to have a charger to just sit on. And while I could go back to wired charging, which OnePlus is doing exclusively, and it sounds like the OnePlus 7 might not have wireless charging either, I'm not interested in plugging it in every single time I want to charge, even if it charges fast. I know you OnePlus users care about dash charging and fast charging. I'm happy for you, that's great. For me, I care more about the convenience than the speed of the charging, so that's going to be my deciding factor on whether or not I test this. I'm waiting for them to officially say that they released a phone with wireless charging. Once they do that, I'll definitely buy one and try it out, but until then, I'm just going to admire from a distance and respectfully say I'll stick with my iPhone. But still, I don't think I have to try out a OnePlus phone to just let you know that, dang, they're offering some great hardware at really competitive price points, and this is likely going to be the best Android phone you can get on a more reasonable budget. What are you guys most looking forward to with the OnePlus 7 and OnePlus 7 Pro? And also, by the way, there's likely to be a 5G variant of the OnePlus 7 Pro too, so that one's probably going to be even more expensive, but it will be compatible in those 3 blocks of Chicago that support 5G. So that'll justify it, right? For those 3 people. Oh wait, that's Verizon, and OnePlus doesn't partner with Verizon yet. So actually, I don't know where this will support 5G exactly. Huh. Okay, anyway, there will be a 5G variant, probably give you cancer. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.